All right, let's dive into one of the most epic journeys imaginable, the very first human story. We're going to take a trip back in time, way back, like 500,000 years back, to understand the story of survival and innovation that literally explains how we all got here today.
I mean, think about it for a second. This is the big question, right? How on earth did we get from a world of ice and stone spears to the world of skyscrapers and smartphones we see all around us? It sounds almost impossible, but that right there is our story, and it's one of the most incredible tales you'll ever hear.
So let's set the stage. Our story doesn't kick off in some warm, cozy world. Nope. It starts right in the middle of a global deep freeze.
You know, for the vast majority of our time on this planet, our ancestors lived through a period called the Pleistocene. But we all know it by its more famous name, the Ice Age. And we're not talking about a quick cold snap here. This was an entire geological era defined by massive glaciers and a kind of bone-deep cold that shaped every single part of daily life.
Okay, I really want you to try and picture this. You don't wake up to an alarm clock. You wake up because the freezing cold is hitting your face. There are no grocery stores, no safe houses, no guarantees of anything. Your entire day, from the moment you get up till you fall asleep, is about two things: find food and don't become food. That was it. That was life.
And here's what really blows my mind: the sheer scale of time we're talking about. Just look at that first bar, the Paleolithic, or the Old Stone Age. It goes on for nearly 500,000 years. That means for thousands upon thousands of generations, humanity lived in that exact same daily grind, that constant struggle for survival.
So, what was your job title back then? Well, it was simple. You were a hunter-gatherer. That was the one and only job description for every single human on the planet for millennia. Your skills weren't in spreadsheets or presentations. They were in tracking a herd and knowing which berries would feed you and which ones would kill you.
But here's the thing. Nothing lasts forever, right? Not even a massive ice age. As the planet finally started to warm up, humanity steps into a totally new phase. A time of transition that would literally change everything.
So as the world starts to thaw, new landscapes just pop up everywhere. Forests start growing where giant glaciers used to be. New kinds of animals show up. Now, this changing world threw a ton of new challenges at our ancestors, but it also created some incredible new opportunities. And to keep up, the human mind had to get sharper. It had to adapt and innovate like never before.
And you can see that mental upgrade perfectly right here in their tools. On the left, you've got the classic Paleolithic toolkit. Big, clunky, heavy stuff made for hunting mammoths. But then, on the right, in the Mesolithic, you see something new: microliths. These things were small, sharp, and incredibly precise. They were adaptable, perfect for this new world of faster animals and fishing. This was a massive technological revolution.
Okay, but then something happens that is just a total game changer. At a place in India called Bagor, we find proof that humans weren't just hunting animals anymore. They were domesticating them. Think about that leap. It's the moment we realized our greatest tool might not be a sharp rock, but a living, breathing partner. It's a whole new relationship with the natural world. So all of this, the new tools, these new ways of thinking, it was all building towards one single moment. And I mean, this is the most important development in the history of our species. This was the Great Revolution. They call it the Neolithic Revolution. And if you boil it all down, it's pretty simple. This was the moment we stopped chasing our food and started growing it. The invention of farming. It sounds so basic, but I promise you, this one idea completely remade the world from the ground up. See, here's the key. Agriculture wasn't just about food. It was like a spark that set off a chain reaction. If you're growing crops, you can't just wander off anymore, right? So boom, you need permanent settlements. A big harvest means you have extra food, which means, hey, we need pots to store it in. And that surplus, that's the real magic. For the first time ever, not everyone had to spend all day looking for food. That frees people up to become builders, leaders, artisans. Every single piece of what we call civilization starts right here.
And you can literally see it happening on the map. Places like Mehrgar and Burzahom start to appear. These aren't just campsites. They are the world's very first villages. For the first time in all of human history, the idea of home became a permanent address.
And inside these first homes, you find these incredibly human moments. This is one of my favorite details from this whole era. At the site of Burzahom, archaeologists found graves where people were buried with their dogs. It tells you that the relationship that started as a hunting partnership had become something so much deeper. It became real companionship, a bond they believed would last even in the afterlife.
So, the Neolithic Revolution basically laid the foundation for, well, everything that came next. But the Age of Stone itself, this gigantic era that had defined our species for its entire existence, was finally, after all that time, coming to an end.
So what could possibly be powerful enough to end an era that lasted for 500,000 years? This, a brand new material. Somebody, somewhere, discovered that if you heat up certain kinds of rocks, you get this amazing, shiny, workable stuff, copper. The moment we could shape metal, stone tools pretty much became obsolete. The Stone Age was over.
Which kind of leads to a final, pretty cool thought. We define these huge chunks of our past by the materials that shaped them, right? The Stone Age, the Bronze Age, the Iron Age. A lot of people say we're living in the Silicon Age today. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What's next? What material is going to define the next great chapter of humanity?